Okay, this is Chapter 6, Video 4. In this video, we're going to be finding the new amount, and it goes with Section 6.5, but it's the first part. There's two videos that both go with this section, so this is the first part of that section. Okay, in this section, we're finding the new amount after some given percent increase or decrease. Okay, so we'll talk about what those questions would look like. So it's going to be a question where it says, it was this amount, then it went up or down by some percent, find what it is now. Okay, so it might be like the price of gas was $4 a gallon, then it went down 42%, what is it now? Okay, so important here before we talk about our formula, the percent that they give you in the problem will not be the P or the percent that you put into your work. You're going to have to do some work to figure out what your new P or new percentage is. So we're going to be doing that in all of our examples, but just make a note of that. Okay, you're not directly putting the P from the problem into your work. So let's talk about setting up the proportion. I'm going to do some of the examples with the proportion, some with the equation, and if you have a preference, you can do the one that you like better. All right, so proportion. We know our proportion looks like this. We know this is always 100. This is always going to be the original amount. So that goes in for the W, whatever the original amount was. And then this is what we're going to call the new percent, the new P. So we're going to have to figure out what this is before we can set it up. And then this is our new amount. So this new amount that we're trying to find is always going to be in the A spot in the part. Okay, or if you like the equation better, new amount, again in the A spot. And then this would be my new percent written as a decimal, and then times the original. Okay, or the W. So again, we're going to have to figure out what this P is before we can plug it in there for our work. So let's try a couple. Percent increase. Okay, so it starts as something and then it increases by a certain percent. Well, that means my new percent is going to be over 100%. It went up over 100% because it increased. So let's say the population was 820 and it went up 10%. Find the new population. Cool. Well, let me think about my new P. If it was 100% and it went up 10 more, now I'm doing 110%. So I'll do this one as the proportion. Okay, I'm going to put in that 110 for my new percent. This is always 100. And then the original amount is always the W, or down here in the whole, for the whole. And I'm looking for A, the part. So we can simply cross multiply that. Pause if you want to type it into your calculator. I cross multiplied and I got 902 is the new population. And that makes sense. It went up 10%. Now it's about 900. Okay. Let's do one with the equation. The temperature was 46 degrees and it increased 15%. Well, my new percent that I need to plug in, it went up another 15%, so now I'm at 115%. So I'm going to use that in my equation. So I'm looking for A. Now it's 115% of the original amount, or of W. And if I type that into my calculator, 1.15 times the original 46, I get 52.9. Okay, and that makes sense. It went up 15%. Now it's slightly higher than it was. Okay. How about markup? So if we think about a percent increase at a store, okay, it's called a markup. When a store charges more for an item than what they paid in order to make money, right? They're not going to charge you exactly what they paid or they wouldn't make any money. So they mark it up a certain percent. So here's an example. The store paid $72. They mark it up 60%. What will they charge the customer? Well, first we need to know that whatever the store pays is our original amount, or our W. Okay, so I'll do this one as the proportion. So the store, the original amount for the store was $72. So that goes in for the W. They mark it up an extra 60%. Well, my new P that I need to put in here is that the customer is paying 160%. They're paying that extra 60 on top of the 100. And then this was 100. I'm looking for, what will the customer pay? This is always going to be customer. Okay, so again, I can just simply cross multiply that. Pause right now and type it in. And I get 115.20. So the customer pays 115 and the store only paid 72. That's how they make their money. Make a note here. Customer always pays more. Customer is always going to pay more than the store. Okay, one more. Store buys something for $16. They mark it up 45%. What are they going to sell it to the customer for? So we know we're looking for what the customer pays. That's the part. I have to think about what my new percentage is here. If they mark it up 45%, that means they're going to charge the customer 145%. And then times W, or times that 16 original. So I'm really finding 145% of the $16. You can type that into your calculator. I did it and got 23.20. So they paid 16 for something, mark it up an extra 45%, and that comes out to $23. Okay, turn the page. Let's go on to percent decrease. So now it's going down by a certain percent. So your new percent that we're going to put into the problem will be less than or under 100%, right? They're taking some percent off, so it's going to be less than 100%. So in this example, we start with 50 points, and then it decreases by 26%. How many points do you have now? Well, let's find our new percent. Okay, if it's decreasing by 26%, that means it was at 100, and I'm taking 26% away. Subtract that. Okay, that leaves me with 74%. So this is the new percent that I want to put into my work. Okay? Again, the original amount is always the whole. Goes in for W. So here's my proportion. 50 is the original amount. This is always 100. I'm looking for what 74% of the original amount, and that would go there. Okay, so if you cross multiply, pause and do that, I get that A is equal to 37. So that makes sense. It started at 50, decreased by about a quarter, and now I'm at 37. All right, let's do one with the equation. So in this one, you start with 15 gallons. Remember, that's your original or your whole. Decrease by 60%. Find the new volume. Okay, well, we're looking for the new amount. I need to think about what percent, what's my new percent? Well, if it went down by 60%, what's left? Or if I use 60% of my gas, I have 40% of my gas left. Okay, times the original 15 gallons or times the W. And if I just type that in, I get that the new volume, when I calculate that, is 6 gallons. So what would that look like in terms of buying something at the store? Well, maybe something's on sale or clearance. So we call that a discount. When an item is reduced in price by a certain percentage, maybe there's a 25% off clearance, or you have a coupon for 10% off. Let's look at some of those. So something is $42 and it's on sale for 15% off. What's the sale price? Okay, let's do a proportion. Well, if it's 15% off, what do you have to pay for? So I'm going to take that 15% away, and I get that I'm still paying for 85%. So that's my new P that I'm going to plug in for my work. 42 is always the whole, or the original price always goes in for W, and then 100. So cross multiply this, and let's see what the sale price will be. Well, I come up with $35.70. And that makes sense because it's on sale, so it's less than, it's only 85% of what the full original price would have been. Okay, how about the next example? If you're buying something that's $120, but it's on clearance for 40% off, what would the clearance price be? Let's do the equation. If it's 40% off, that means they're taking 40% away, and you're still paying for 60%. So I'm trying to find the new sale price or clearance price. I'm only paying for 60% of the cost or of the original price. So I want to find 60% of $120. And if I type that in, you can do it quick. I get that now the clearance price is only $72. Okay? So in all of these problems, you're thinking about, okay, they tell me how much is off, but what am I still paying for? 40% off? Okay, I'm still paying for 60%, right? 60% off? I'm still paying for 40. Or decreased by 26%, now I'm looking for what's left, the 74%. So you always have to do that work to get the new P that you plug in. Okay, let's talk about tax and tip. So really quickly, tax is an extra percentage that's added on, and that extra money goes to the government. Or a tip is an extra percentage that's added on, and that extra money goes to the service provider. Right? Your tip goes to your waiter or waitress or the person who cut your hair or did your nails or whatever. Okay? So both of these are going to make your total go up by a certain percent. Let's look at a couple examples quick. So let's say you buy something that is $48, and then they're going to add on 6% tax. What would your total price be? Well, this total price is what we have been calling the new amount, right? What's that new amount with the tax or with the tip? So I'll do this one with a proportion. 48, remember, is always going to be the original, so it goes in for whole. If I'm adding on 6% tax, now I've got to pay for 106%. So the total with that tax is going to be 106%. And then this is always 100. So let's cross multiply. What will your total be with that tax? Okay, so when I cross multiply this, I get that your total is $50.88. Okay? So when you go to check out, it actually costs you $50.88 to buy that item that was marked 48. All right, let's do one with tip. So again, that's added on to go to the service provider, the person who did the service for you. Okay, so if you you get a haircut for $35 and you want to leave a 20% tip, what will your total be with tip? So I'm going to do this one as the equation. I'm looking for my new amount. And if I pay 20% tip, or I add on 20% tip, that means I'm actually paying for 120% of the $35. So when I type that into my calculator, I get that I would actually pay $42 for my haircut when I add that tip in. So there are 3 more examples. See these highlighted numbers? Fill those in quick. Pause. Work these out, equation or proportion, and then hit play when you're ready to check. Okay, really take a second here to check these. 7% tax, 107%. 22% tip, and 18% tip.